Well, it is 3 minutes after 4, and I want to go ahead and get started and certainly want to say welcome to everyone who is joining us. I want to give you opportunity. I know some of you are still populating and still coming in, but we certainly want to get started. And I want to just open up just by saying welcome. My name is Daryl Cook. I am the pastor of the Christ Community Church in Erie. And I am so glad that I get an opportunity to be with you on this day as we celebrate together Black history. This is the cultural crossroads, our story told through rhymes, rhythms, and reflections, a celebration of Black history. Black Student Union of Gannon, as well as the Association of Black Collegians of Penn State Behrend. We are so glad to have all of these groups together. And once again, my name is Daryl Cook, and I am so glad to be with you on today. We're going to get started, and we're going to have opening prayer by Claudia Herrera. Following that, we will hear from Dr. Walter Iwankaniko. So sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but we will hear from him, who will give a welcome. And then following that, we will hear from Dr. Lori Lindley. And then we shall hear, of course, from Heidi Noyes, who will follow that. And we are so glad to have all of them here with us on today.
Prepare yourself however you see fit. Lord, let us offer this prayer and the presentations today for Black history and all Black lives lost in the past years. As we celebrate the richness of Black history alongside our brothers and sisters, may we continue towards the path of creating more diversity and acceptance in our communities. Amen.
Good afternoon, and Daryl, that's why most of the students call me Dr. I, because the last name gets a little tough there, but you did great. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Last month at our university Martin Luther King celebration, I quoted these words from Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail. We must use time creatively in the knowledge that the time is always ripe to do right. I'm grateful to welcome all of you to this time of rhymes, rhythms, and reflections in honor of Black History Month. And as Daryl said, it's a true collaboration between Behrend, Gannon, and Life Thru music. You are all indeed following Dr. King's message to use time creatively, and now is certainly the right time. We are privileged to join with all of you in this celebration. We commit to the work, and that work has to be done together as we listen to the voices of experience and hope in prayer and reflection, in music and art, in poetry and prose. We join in the commitment to bring about a culture of inclusion and genuine friendship that celebrates what makes each of us who we are. Thank you all for joining us, students, alumni, faculty, and staff of Behrend and Gannon, friends and partners in the Erie community and beyond. Thank you to everyone who put this together. It is going to be a great evening. I would now like to introduce Dr. Lori Lindley, Dean of the College of Humanities, Education, and Social Sciences.
Thank you, Dr. Iwanenko. Good afternoon. My name is Lori Lindley, and I'm the Dean of the College of Humanities, Education, and Social Sciences at Gannon, and also the co-chair of the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Steering Committee at Gannon. I'm so honored to be invited to say a few words of welcome for this amazing celebration of Black History Month. At a time when so many of our events are remote and we're constantly instructed to keep one another at a distance, it's wonderful to be a part of this collaboration between Gannon and Penn State Behrend. We have an incredible lineup of performances here tonight, and I feel so grateful to be a part of it. I want to quickly highlight two events we'll be hosting next week in recognition of Black History Month at Gannon as part of the year-long chess speaker series, Racial Justice Be the Change. On Tuesday at 7 p.m., we will have the scholar Dr. Tony Hunt presenting the promise of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s beloved community in light of the challenges we face today. This event is sponsored by Interchurch Ministries and features a panel of Erie respondents moderated by Dr. Reverend Charles Mock. And on Thursday at 7 p.m., we'll be hosting the musical theater event, Ain't I a Woman?, sharing and recognizing the lives of 4 prominent women in African-American history, Fannie Lou Hamer, Clementine Hunter, Sojourner Truth, and Zora Neale Hurston. These events are free and open to the public, and we hope you will all join us as we continue the celebration of Black History Month. And now I would like to turn your attention to this welcome from the advisor and the president of the Black Student Union, Heidi Noyes and Jade Hammerer.
Hi, I'm Heidi Berger-Noyes, Director of Commuter Life and the advisor for the Black Student Union at Gannon.
And I'm Jade Hammerer, the president of Black Student Union at Gannon.
And we'd like to welcome you to the wonderful Black History Month performance.
Cultural Crossroads. We hope that you guys have a meaningful experience with it. We planned a lot, and we hope you guys get a good experience out of it, like I said. So.
And we'd like to thank Dr. Paris Baker for helping organize all of this. Enjoy.
But we're so glad to have Gannon, who was here in the house, but we also have Penn State, and we are going to hear from Dr. Pamela Silver, excuse me, and we will hear from Wala Ahmad. We'll hear from Tyler Wells as they come to represent Penn State.
Good afternoon, and it's my honor to help welcome you to this important part of our celebration of Black History Month. And I'm especially happy today because this program really is a collaborative effort between Gannon University's Black Student Union and Penn State Behrend's Association of Black Collegians, Delta Sigma Pi, and the Office of Educational Equity and Diversity Programs. I also would like to thank Dr. Baker for behind-the-scenes work on this program, and Ms. Wala Ahmad for including me in today's collective step in the direction of creating the positive change that we want to see in the world. This is Black History Month, so I think that what I would like to leave you with is the words of someone from the past as context for today's celebration. So Harriet Tubman said, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength and the patience and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world." So please watch today's celebration with those words in mind. And remember, we're still dreaming, but now we're also taking some action. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Ms. Wala Ahmad from Penn State Behrend.
Thank you, Dr. Silver. Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be with you all here today. As part of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion series at Penn State Behrend, we host many events throughout the academic year to promote respect, understanding, and a sense of community. For this month series, we are hosting various Black history events to honor the past, celebrate the present, and inspire the future. As one of Penn State values is community, we have the honor to go within and beyond our campus to participate in today's collaborative effort with Gannon University. We are very grateful for this amazing partnership in cultural crossroads. I wanted to take the time to truly appreciate those individuals that made this event happen. Dr. Paris Baker, Assistant Professor and Director of Social Work Program at Gannon University, and Brandon Frank from Gannon's IT, Ken Mason and Nick Scott from Behrend's IT for all their technical assistance. Dr. Pam Silver for her wonderful introduction, Gannon's administrators and Black Student Union and other groups, Behrend's Association of Black Collegians and Delta Sigma Pi, our amazing moderator, Pastor Daryl Cook, Life Thru Music, and other community partners. And thank you so much to all of our attendees for your presence and support. And I would like to end with a quote from former President Barack Obama. "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek." Thank you.
I have a video by Miss Tyler Wells.
Hi, my name is Tyla, and I'm the president of the Association of Black Collegians here at Behrend. And to start, I would like to thank Dr. Silverman and Ms. Walla Ahmad for all of their support for our program. And I'd also like to thank Gannon University for choosing to collaborate with us for Black History Month this year. It's really appreciated.
Now we're so excited to have Life Thru music. Life stands for Living in Fulfilled Excellence. And we're so excited to have all of these talented young people from all across the city of Erie. We'll now hear from Mr. Daniel Stanton Jr., who will sing the great song, Lift Every Voice and Sing by composer James Weldon Johnson.
Lift every voice and sing, to earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughter. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the war, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Thank you to Daniel. Now we have a dance that will come from Life Thru Dance, which is, of course, is connected to Life Thru Music. It is led by Miss Carla Hughes. We have Miss Desiree Howard, Mrs. Jordan Smith, Trinity Walker and Amelia Salters. They are coming now. They are going to dance to 4 Women with the composer Nina Simone.
My skin is black, my arms are long, my hair is woolly, my back is strong enough to take the pain inflicted again and again. What do they call me? My name is Sarah. Sarah. My skin is yellow, my hair is long, between 2 worlds, I do belong. My father was rich and white. He forced my mother late one night. What do they call me? My name is Sophronia. My name is Sophronia. My skin is tan, my hair is fine, my hips invite you, my mouth like wine. Whose little girl am I? Anyone who has money to buy. What do they call me? My name is Sweet Thing. My name is Sweet Thing. My skin is brown, and my manner is tough. I'll kill the first mother I see, because my life has been rough. I'm awfully bitter these days, because my parents were slaves. What do they call me? Aunt Sarah. What do they call me? Saffronia.
I'm so grateful for all of the talent that we have seen thus far. And I do just want to say this, that you can at any point on today, as you are just wowed and of course amazed by all of these great young people, you can make a generous donation to Life Thru Music. Life has been recognized not just across Erie, but literally across this country as one that works with young people in Pennsylvania, as well as New Jersey and beyond. And Corey Cook, who is the program director, has just done such an amazing job. And so you can give via check, or you see the Cash App on screen now, in which if you are so led, and of course we would encourage you to make a contribution to Life Thru Music. We're now going to go live to the Yale Ballroom, and we have Adaria Hopkins, who is going to now share with us a poem, "This Country, My Skin Tone."
Thank you, Pastor Cook. This is my poem called "This Country, My Skin Tone." This country that witnessed one man scream, "I can't breathe," as this country yelled together, "No justice, no peace," as your knees shaking with fear, as you clutch onto your purse, riding the elevator together. This country, my skin tone, where my ancestors, with their luscious yet languid black and brown hues, were sold as slaves like they were nothing more than a barrel of hay. My skin tone defines this country. This country where I learned in school, freedom 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. This is not freedom. You tell me when this is freedom, when I can walk down the street with my hoodie on and not be seen suspicious. When I can buy a pack of cigarettes and not be considered stealing. Where I can go into church to worship and not be turned into a war zone. Where I can sleep in peace without someone breaking down my door. Where I can go jogging in peace without being afraid. You tell me when it's considered freedom. This country, my skin tone, where you see me with my different hairdos and you tell me I'm so beautiful for being a black girl. This country where the 45th president that used to sit in the White House can ask black people, what do we have to lose? As if 1.5 million ain't enough. This country, my skin tone, where an officer can commit murder and only get handed desk duty, but it's blue lives that's considered more important than black lives. This country, where they parade around in their black faces and make fun of my skin tone. This country, where the word nigger is okay to use in every sentence. The lives of beautiful black boys and girls were taken away from them, from the people that are supposed to protect it. Just like how Black Lives Matter now. Oh no, it been matter when my ancestors were fighting for me. This country, my skin tone. All lives cannot matter until Black Lives Matter as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Ms. Adaria. Kyler McCoy is coming now with a reading, which is an intro of Madam C.J. Walker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyler McCoy. I am a senior at Penn State Behrend and a finance major. I have been involved on campus as the president of the Financial Management Association Club and the Entrepreneurship Club, in addition to serving as the vice president of professional activities for Delta Sigma Pi, a co-ed business fraternity. Today I am reading How Business Executive Madam C.J. Walker Became a Powerful Influencer in the Early 20th Century, an article that was written by Alice George on the Smithsonian Magazine. For Madam C.J. Walker, a new life began when she decided to find a cure for her hair loss. Her ailment would become the impetus for a large, multifaceted international company that sold hair care products, including an inventive vegetable shampoo that she developed and that offered training to women both as hairstylists and as sales representatives. Madam C.J. Walker, the daughter of former enslaved laborers in Louisiana, created educational opportunities for thousands of black women and provided them jobs and careers, an opportunity to make money and to make money in their own community, says Nancy Davis, curator Emeritus at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C., where Walker's business is featured in the museum American Enterprise exhibition. No one could have foreseen Walker's stunning success as an early 20th century entrepreneur, or her remarkable legacy in philanthropy and Black activism. I think her legacy as well is about pride and self, as well as economic independence, which is something that she is able to establish not just for herself, but for all women she educated through her program and became their own agent, says Michelle Gates Moresi, Supervisory Museum Curator of Collections at the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. By the end of Walker's life in 1919, she would rank among the nation's wealthiest self-made women of the era. For the full article, please visit the SmithsonianMag.com website. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Kyler. We have the Life Thru Dance Crew is coming back with Phenomenal Woman, written by Maya Angelou.
Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model's size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please. And to a man, the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me like a hive of honeybees. I say, it's in the fire in my eyes and the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they still can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the arch of my back and the sun of my smile, the ride of my breasts, the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, oh, it ought to make you proud. I say it's in the click of my heels and the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. 'Cause I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. Oh yeah, baby, that's me.
Once again, thank you, Life Thru Music, Life Thru Dance, and the very talented Carla Hughes, who you heard voice there. She is just amazing, and we are so grateful to them. Speaking of a Hughes, we have Mr. Chase Hughes coming now, and he is going to share with us Glory, which is a rap that was first recorded by John Legend and Common.
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against, yes, glory is destined. Every day, women and men become legends. The sins that go against our skins become blessings. The movement's like a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, his spirit is revisiting us. Human living in us, the vision is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When it go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots, we on the ground. The camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up. Selma's now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. They march with the torch, we gon' run with it now. Never look back, we done gone hundreds of miles. From dark roads, we rose to become a hero. Facing the League of Justice, the power was the people. Enemy is regal, the king became regal. Saw the face of Jim Crow under a bald ego. The biggest weapon is to stay peaceful. We sing, our music is the cuts that we bleed through. Somewhere in the dream we had an epiphany. Now we right the wrongs in history. No one can win the war individually. It takes the wisdom of the elders, the young people's energy. Welcome to this story we call victory. The coming of the Lord, my eyes have seen the glory.
Thank you, Chase. Now we have a spoken word by Ryan Vessels, who was coming from Gannon University. We will hear from him now.
Hello to everybody that will be viewing this. My name is Ryan Vessels, and I'll be performing an original poem that I wrote called The Truth of Black History. What is our history? What is Black history? It is the dirt and mud roads that our ancestors walked. It is the memory of their lives tattooed into our conscience. It is not only a word or a place, but it is a state of mind. Black history is just a small preview of our ancestors' time. Black history is a stream of blood that was shed to gain the right to live as a free human being without question, without judgment. Black history is the fate of Emmett Till, Philando Castile, Oscar Grant, Michael Brown, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and the list goes on and on and on. Black history is an entire race struggling to prevail because of an evil that lingers in the cracks of this country's foundation to bring us down. Black history is a story of wailing and weeping, but also a story of triumph, courage, the will to fight on. The truth of our history is a troubling truth, an unapologetic past. 2020 showed us that we are capable of making change, but we must stop running and hiding from this history, but instead we have to embrace it. Learn from it. Black history is every single experience of our nation's history. It is the story of you, and it is the story of me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. That was extremely powerful. We now have a poema by David Ariza and Maria Arenas of Gannon University.
This poem is called Bendita la raza negra by Francisco Amor. Son dos mariposas negras las manos de aquel moreno que han surgido de la sombra para libar en el cuero. Dobla y redobla la lonja, oscuro ritmo del tiempo, en la alegría del parche llora el alma de los negros. Negros, negros, negros. Con un latido de selva bajo el látigo negrero, con un misterio de jungla tejido por hechiceros, con el bramar de los vientos en gigantes himeneos, late y late la tambora, subrejadea el batero. En los ojos se le encienden las bengalas de su fuego, que van cayendo de a poco en el carbón de sus dedos. Macumba viene diciendo, los cueros vienen diciendo, te quiero, te quiero. La mulata piel canela en el caracol del pelo, junta las estrellitas de vidrio y lágrimas de lucero. La sombra salió a vestirla, le puso su piel de cielo, le hizo ajorcas, anillos, collares y amuletos, y en esa sonrisa nevada que luce en los labios negros.
En los ojos, mamá noche le puso de su joyero, dos blancas porcelanitas con oscuros arabescos. Van y vienen, sus caderas en oleajes de mareo, movimiento de culebra, brasa quemante del sexo, en cadencias milenarias donde se acunan los besos. Brilla y rebrilla la luna del metal de su cuerpo, y los dedos que redoblan son 10 puñales hiriendo. Los poros de aquella hembra, de esa Afrodita de ébano, hay un miedo de maniguas en ese ritual tremendo. Macumba vienen diciendo los cueros, vienen diciendo, te quiero, te quiero. Mira ese sol de mostaza, en las marismas hirviendo. Mira la furia, que rompe las palmeras el viento. Oye los bravos rugidos de las fieras en su cielo. Todo está en esas caderas y el batuque del negro. Bendita raza negra.
Thank you so much. And we will now hear from Claudia again.
Hello. Thank you so much, David and Maria, for that beautiful poem. This poem was called Bendita la Raza Negra, which is an Uruguayan poem. And so this is how we learned how African culture extends all the way from North America to Latin America and all around the world, because this is our history. And so now I want to introduce Reverend Darrell Cook, pastor of Christ Community Church of Erie, Pennsylvania, and he will address why we celebrate Black history.
Well, thank you so much to all of you who are here. And it has been my pleasure to go through this program and just to experience all of the amazing talent that we have seen on today. Now, let me remind you as we move on that you can give to Life Thru Music and Life Thru Dance. You see the Cash App on screen, as well as you can give by check as well. And we want to encourage you just to be an encouragement to these young people who are being exposed to the arts in a way that they weren't able to be exposed but before. Just on last week, for instance, I was hosting an interview with some of the students of Life Thru Music, and we were able to connect them with a National Grammy Award-winning producer who shared some insights with them. And it's programs like Life Thru Music that gives these young people an opportunity to see things that they would have not been able to see otherwise. And so I want to commend Corey, and I want to commend Carla and Justin and everyone who works with Life. And I want to encourage you to give generously. You see the Cash App, and you can also give by way of check as well. And of course, you can connect with Dr. Baker in order to give. Now, Dr. Baker asked me to talk a little bit today about why we celebrate Black history. Why is it important anyway? Shouldn't we be celebrating everybody? Or why do we have to pick a month just to celebrate and to look at one group of people? And I have just 4 ideas that I want to briefly share with you as together we we realize that Black history is literally our history. It's not about them. It's literally about us. Because of course we share this thing called humanity, and it is so important that we understand it. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you about the reason why it is so very important that we take time as as a group, those who are teachers and doctors and those who are students, wherever you find yourself, it is important that we understand that Black history, number one, pushes us to celebrate the resplendence of a people who have been historically devalued. And that word really just has to do with just brightness and brilliance and radiance. And whenever we talk about Black history, I always like to make it a point to remind people that Black history does not begin at the transatlantic slave trade. Our people's history does not begin at slavery. I want to quote Dr. Silas here, excuse me, and he says that if we start there, if we start at history, we are creating an anchor in pain. But if we go back far enough, if we go back to the continent of Africa, we will see kings and we will see queens and chieftains and of course tribal leaders. It is important not just for Blacks to know this, it is important for all of us to understand that the Black experience is one of brilliance, one of radiance, one of royalty, and one in which we have to acknowledge and honor the value that has always existed in those who come from Africa. One of the things that I often find is that when people talk about Africa, they treat it as though it is a country and not a continent. So that there are some who only highlight maybe what they would call just just how Africa is savage at times, and they will look at tribes who may not have much by way of what we might call money. But when you look at the continent, you see resources and you see a greatness that has always come from the continent of Africa. And it is important that we take time to celebrate that we also look after we've gone through slavery and after we've gone through civil rights, we look at the Black excellence that continues to pop up in music, and we see it as it pops up in entertainment, in politics, in the military, in so many different ways. We see the excellence of Black people over and over again, and Black history gives us an opportunity to celebrate that and to see it, to not always view Blacks as less than or always in poverty or not having enough, but we see the excellence in mind, the excellence in spirit, in rhythm, and everything in between. What Black history also, number 2, gives us the opportunity to celebrate the resistance of a people who refuse to accept the evil of injustice. Part of our story, especially as we look at the Black story here in this country, is that civil rights is something that our people have had to fight for, and in many ways we still fight for it. That we had to resist the status quo, and we could not settle always for what was legal, especially when what was considered to be of that stood against what was moral. It is so important that we understand the resistance of Blacks here in America who stood against slavery, who stood against issues that would oppress and marginalize and hold a group down. And as I'm talking about this, I think that it might be important that I take a moment to just talk about one who is often misquoted, and that is Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Jeremiah Wright Jr. said this. He said, "What is more disturbing? Is it seeing the masses be seduced by a soundbite, or seeing the ministry of Dr. King reduced to a soundbite?" And what he was getting at is that when many people talk about King, they talk about his "I have a dream" speech, and they remember some of the great lines from that speech. But many folk that you talk to don't know anything else that King said. And what I always encourage people is that if you want to get a sense of just the social ethic of Dr. King, a great place for you to start to look at and to read would be his letter from that Birmingham jail, in which here he is incarcerated, here he is locked up, and he is resisting the status quo. He is resisting religious leaders who would encourage him to wait. And I love what King says. He says, "Perhaps it is easy for those who have never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait." He says, "But when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will and drown your sisters and brothers at whim, when you have seen hate-filled policemen curse, kick, and even kill your Black brothers." He goes on and he paints a picture of what is going on in his time and why he is there in Birmingham. As a matter of fact, he says, "I can't stand idly by in my home in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham." He says, "An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." And so he understood that he had to resist the status quo. And if we are going to look at Black history, it helps us to see a people who stood in resistance to the status quo and said injustice is not good enough. And what that does is it gives us a framework in which we can see life through on today, so that we don't allow injustice in our company, among us, without us speaking against it. Black history helps us to do that. But then 3, it pushes us to celebrate the resilience of a people too strong to give up. Black history helps us to celebrate the resilience of Black people. And I want you to think about what Blacks had to navigate and what they had to deal with. We talk about slavery. We talk about not being considered human or not being valued as that. Lynching. We saw white mob violence over and over and over again. Over and over, these people had to stand against what seemed to be odds that they could not compete against. The Constitution seemed to be against them. Law enforcement seemed to be against them. Yet and still, they remained resilient, and they fought against injustice, and they displayed brilliance, and they displayed integrity at various levels of life. I wish I had time to call many names, but I'll just call a few. When I think about the resilience of Black people, I have to call the name Ida B. Wells. Her own resilience caused her to stand against lynching, the killing of Black people. She stood against that. What about Harriet Tubman, who is an example of resilience? For her, it is displayed in her commitment to free Black slaves. She was free, but she said, I can't just be satisfied in my own freedom, but I got to go back and I've got to help others to experience my own freedom. And some of her quotes give us a glimpse of what she had to wrestle with and what she had to go through. In her own words, she says, I grew up like a neglected weed, ignorant of liberty, having no experience of it. She said, I had crossed the line. I was free, but there was no one to welcome me to the land of freedom. I was a stranger in a strange land. I would fight for my liberty so long as my strength lasted. And if the time came for me to go, the Lord would let them take me. She was resilient, put herself in harm's way time and time again. But not just Harriet and Ida, but what about Medgar Evers? He is one who, in the face of constant death threats, worked to overturn segregation. He worked on public policy, even though his life was threatened over and over and over again. Yet he showed up on the day that he would ultimately be assassinated. Yes, he was killed. He was assassinated on the day that he was killed in his own driveway, the same day that his wife would be the one that would find him after he was shot by a long rifle. On that day, before he left the house, he had a feeling that he was walking into more danger than he had ever walked into. Yet and still, Medgar Evers left the house. I just want to share with you that Black history helps us to celebrate the resilience of a people who stood in the face of injustice, who were too strong to give up, even when their lives were on the line. King continued to preach, and King continued to be an activist, even after having multiple attempts on his life. Churches were bombed, people were lynched, yet and still, these people continue to fight. But I'm done when I give you this last one. Why is the celebration of Black history so important? Number 4, Black history pushes us to accept the responsibility of leaving this world better than the way we found it. It is so important that we understand that history is not meant for us to live in, but history is meant for us to learn from. And as we look at what Africans endured here in the United States of America, it is so important that we learn from their story, that we are inspired by their story, but that it pushes us to say that there's something that I need to do. See, we need to make sure that we have information on various levels so that there is knowledge, and that is the accumulation of whatever the facts are. It is important that we know the facts about Black history, who did what and when they were able to get that done. But not just the knowledge, but number 2, the understanding. We must comprehend it. We must understand, not through a lens that's filtered through our own prejudice and through our own ideas, filtered through some sort of recency, biased or revisionist idea of history, but we must see what the people dealt with and understand it from their context and from their perspective. But after we get through knowledge and we get through understanding that whole idea of comprehension, that third level is wisdom. And wisdom says, I know the facts, I understand the facts. Now I need to apply the facts. I need to be a voice for the voiceless. I need to represent in whatever way that I can represent. That Black history helps us that we might not just empower Blacks, but we might empower women, all of those who have been pulled down, all of those who've been walked on, all of those who have been looked past and looked over. Black History Month pushes us to look back and say, even beyond the corporate conversation, on the individual conversation, for every student that is watching me, understand that they would label Martin King in order to limit him, because the idea was, if I label you, I will limit you, so I will be able to control your action. But what did King do? He pushed through their labels. He said, I won't let you define me, because if I allow you to define me, I'll become confined to that definition. And so we look back on history and we say, we're not going to allow the present day to label us in such a way that we believe we can't do what we know we can do. We know we can deal with poverty. We know we can deal with those who need to be educated and those who don't need a handout. They just need a hand up. They just need access. And in your own way, if you are a teacher, if you are a student, there is a way in which you can look at Black history. You can look at the resplendence. You can look at the resistance. You can look at the resilience, and you can take on the responsibility and say, wherever I am, whatever I have, I'm going to make sure that this world is in better shape when I leave here than it was when I got here. And let me close with this story. I always tell this story to various congregations that I get opportunity to minister to, and conversations that I have opportunity to have. There was a man, and he was an older man, didn't have long to live. And here he is planting fruit trees in his yard. And while he's planting these trees, some younger men walk past and they say to him, they say, "Oh man, why are you wasting your time? Because by the time those trees bear any fruit, you're going to be dead and gone. Why are you even wasting your time planting those trees?" The old man smiled. He said, I want you to come to my backyard. He said, "Do you see what's going on back there?" And they said, "Yes, sir. We see some fruit trees." The old man said, "I eat from those trees back there." He said, "My grandfather and my father planted those trees." He says, "The trees you saw me planting when you started to ridicule me, those trees I was planting for the next generation. I won't eat off of that fruit, but I'm planting it knowing that the seeds that I plant today is going to be fruit for them on tomorrow." You have a responsibility to plant seeds so that the generation after you can benefit from work that you put in. This is why we celebrate Black history. Thank you so much. I want to move on. I want to, Dr. Baker, respect my time that was allotted to me. And it is so important that we do this. And I want to publicly thank Penn State and Gannon and Life Thru Music for leading this charge so that together we can celebrate this important time of year. We're now going to hear a song by Sam Cooke. Anthony Collins is going to sing it from Life Thru Music, and the song is called "Change Is Gonna Come."
I was born by the river in a little town. Oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. When I go to the movie and I go downtown, and they keep telling me, they're telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. And then I go to my brother, and I say, brother, help me please, oh, but he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Whoa, whoa, there's been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
Thank you so much. And we have two more that are coming. We have Tyler Wells coming to present The Hill We Climb. And then following that, we will hear from Eddie Ocasio, who will sing We Are One.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Wells, and I am currently the president of the Association of Black Collegians here at Penn State Behrend. I'm a sophomore and I'm majoring in psychology. But tonight, I'm going to recite a poem for you by Amanda Gorman called The Hill We Climb. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade, we've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours. Before we knew it, somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny Black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother, can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that does not mean we are striving for a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge a union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all our cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach our arms out to one another. We seek to harm none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew. That even as we hurt, we hoped. That even as we tired, we tried. That we'll forever be tied together victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promise to glade the hill we climb. If only we dare, it's because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust. For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption we feared at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour. But within it, we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while we once asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left with. Every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limb hills of the West. We will rise from the windswept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover. And every known nook of our nation, and every corner called our country, our people diverse and beautiful will emerge, battered and beautiful when day comes to step out of the shade. Aflame and unafraid, the new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it. Thank you.
Eddie Ocasio is coming next, singing "We Are One."
Can't understand why we treat each other in this way, taking up time with those silly, silly games we play. We've got our love, and no matter what we do or say, oh, we are no matter what we do, we are one. Our love will see us through, we are one. And that's the way it is, and that's the way it is, yeah. Oh. Sometimes I feel that we make each other feel so sad. I don't know why. The things we do, how we try to make each other feel bad. We've got so much, we could all be having so much fun. Oh, we are one. No matter what we do, we are one. And our love will see us through, we are one. And that's the way it is, and that's the way it is, yeah. We are one. No importa lo que hacemos, somos uno. And down in our hearts, we are one. And that's the way it is, and that's the way it is, yeah.
Thank you to Eddie, and thank you to every participant on today. As you see on the screen, that I do have some thank yous. There's so many people that we do need to thank, and that we do need to recognize, and we want you to read their names, of course, on screen. I want to give a special shout out to Dr. Paris Baker, because whenever you're putting something together like this, there are always challenges. And of course, I know that there's so much that he had to do over these last few weeks. But to everybody on the Penn State side, everybody on the Gannon side, on the Life side, we certainly thank you, and we honor all of the hard work that you put in to make sure that this came to pass. And so if you want to write some thank yous in the chat box, you can do that. But I certainly am so grateful that we were able to come together in this form, and just to celebrate the uniqueness and the contribution of Blacks in this country. Also want to remind you before we go that we would certainly encourage you to give in a very generous way to Life Thru Music. We want this program to continue. We want lives in the city of Erie and beyond to continue to be touched through the arts. We thank Corey and Carla and all of the Life team, and we want to make sure that we don't just thank them with our words, but we certainly want to show them that they have support and they have help. And one of the things you can always do is, if you have some sort of musical instrument that you may want to donate as well, you can always get in touch with Corey about that, because it is the goal of Life to make sure that these students in, of course, the inner city and beyond, that they have access to industry standard equipment. And Corey has done such an amazing job in order to make that happen. So this is Daryl Cook. I want to thank you for having me. It has been my pleasure to be your host. I would encourage you to be mindful of all of the thank yous on screen. I would also encourage you to be mindful of the Cash App information, that you could be a support to Life Thru Music. I bid you good day. And once again, we just say happy Black History Month, and we honor and acknowledge all of those whose sacrifices have gone to us being where we are today. Thank you again, and you take care.